Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you how to blend your eyeshadow like a pro. And when I say how to blend your eyeshadow, I'm not talking about any detailed kind of work. I'm not talking about how to smoke out your eyes, how to create any kind of definition. I'm talking about how to do basic, simple, straightforward blending, which is generally the kind of way to set the frame for the rest of your eye makeup. Now, I was actually inspired to do this video because of one of my cousins. Now, she's getting married early next year. She's been researching makeup artists for her wedding. She kept sending me links to Instagram makeup artists or makeup artists that have got Instagram pages, and I kept rejecting them. And I think after a while she was getting a little bit annoyed. She was like, why do you keep saying no to everyone? I was like, don't know how to blend eyeshadow, doesn't know how to blend eyeshadow, doesn't know how to blend eyeshadow. And it seemed to be a very recurrent theme for people that may not necessarily be professionally trained, or they were trained in the house of lies. Now, to do any kind of eye makeup, the most simple and easiest thing you need to learn how to do, if you want to do it properly, obviously makeup is completely subjective. If you're going for that punched in the eye look, then you do you. However, what you need to remember is that there is a technique and a way to do things, but everybody's got a different way of doing it. Now, would I call myself an expert when it comes to blending out eyeshadow? I would say after over 10 years of being on YouTube, I would have learned something by now, you would hope. So I wanted to teach you guys how to do a very simple blend and what the steps are that I tend to personally use in order to have a very soft gradient which transitions from one shade to another shade to another shade, creating that amazing soft delicate kind of look before you then apply deeper shades or do more detailed work afterwards. Now, the first thing that you need to remember that is really important is your tools, and the first thing is, of course, makeup brushes. Now, I've got a couple here to share with you guys. I'm only going to use one of these, but it's just to give you an idea. Now, to do a nice blend, you need a soft, tapered, fluffy brush. The reason why it's great to use long, fluffy, tapered brushes such as this one is that because they're not densely packed together, they're quite spread out and fanned out. And also, if they're slightly tapered, it means that it can be easier to get into your actual crease itself. And also, because it's fanned out, it's more likely to spread out the product and diffuse the shade, because it's very important to get no harsh lines. It needs to be a diffused, soft line. So a couple of brushes I'm going to share with you guys. Now, the one that I'm going to be using today is the Morphe M330. I've got about 8 of these brushes. That's how often I use them and how much I love them. And that's what I'll be using in today's video. By all means, they are all slightly different, but it's just to kind of give you guys the kind of idea of the kind of brush that you should be using. Now, this is another Morphe one. This is the G17. This is much wider, as you can see, than this one here, and it's definitely more fanned out. I tend to use this when I'm in a hurry and I want to do very, very quick because it's so large and it can cover a larger area of my eye. Then we've got this Anastasia Beverly Hills A12 brush. This is slightly more flat on the top. However, it still does the same job as the Morphe M330. It's fanned out, it's fluffy, which makes it very easy to kind of blend out your eyeshadow. Another one is this Royal and Langnickel Master Pro Tapered Blender Brush. I will make sure to link everything below, by the way. This is again another long and tapered brush. Makes it very easy to blend out and diffuse your eyeshadow. This one is the Morphe M505. This is a little bit stumpier and a little bit more packed together, but sometimes I use this when I'm only applying a little bit, but again, it does that blend that I need it to do. This one is a NYX brush. It's number 17 is all it says on it. Again, you can see it's long and tapered, and when you go like this, it kind of fans out. It's not packed together densely, meaning you can again diffuse the shade. And another one is this Colourpop one. It hasn't got a name on it, but again, I will link it below if it is available. Very similar to the other ones. I've obviously done all my makeup except for my eyes, and that obviously includes my eyebrows as well. Now, when I tend to do my eyebrows, the way that I've started doing it and have been doing it for a few years now is that I will do my eyebrows, I will draw them with pencil, and then I will outline them with concealer. And the reason that I do that is to make them neater, to make them look sharper, to make them look more defined and also to cover any little hairs that may have grown. Now, I purposely did this video today after I had my eyebrows threaded yesterday, so there's no hairs to interfere with my blending. Hairs can sometimes do that. I know some people don't like to pluck or thread their eyebrow, and that's perfectly fine. I personally find that when I've got any extra hairs that are lying around, when I try to blend backwards and forwards, the fibers from this will push against the hairs and again make it go blotchy and make the lines very, very harsh. Now obviously that means I've got a tiny bit of concealer on the top, which is perfectly fine. Some people like to apply concealer all over their eyes as a base, and for me it's not just a base for the eyeshadow, it's also the way that the eyeshadow will lay on your eyes. Now I've already got my skincare on, I've got sunscreen on, moisturizer, and I have that on my eyes as well, so you can imagine they would be slightly tacky. Now when you're using a brush and if your skin is tacky and it's not smooth, it will catch and it will drag, and again that's how you will get harsh lines, and it's almost impossible to blend those harsh lines out because you're mixing powder with an almost liquid on your face. So that's the reason why it's great to use a concealer or a eyeshadow primer. If anything, that will just smooth out the area. So the one that I'm going to be using today is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Invisi Pink Amplifying Eye Primer. I've been using this one for quite some time now. I find eyeshadow primers last a really long time. It's completely up to you what you choose to use. I'm only using this because it's what I'm using at this current point in time, like I've said. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it quite thickly, as you can see, onto both of my eyelids, and then I'm just going to blend it in by patting it rather than wiping it. I don't like to wipe because what will happen is it will transfer into my foundation. So I've clearly applied more on this side than the other, which is fine. The problem is if you apply too much, it's more difficult to blend out, as you can see, and it will take longer to dry as well. I've just literally rubbed a little bit on a tissue that I've got right here and blend it right up into that concealer as well. Eyes are nicely primed, however they feel tacky. Now obviously it depends on how long you have to get ready every morning. Sometimes you don't have that much time at all. And one thing is that it is good to let the primer kind of dry onto your eyes, because again your eyes are now tacky and sticky and you'll get that same problem of snagging and pulling and then have harsh lines. So what I generally tend to do is whatever I've got on my brush from my under eye powder or what I've got around my eyebrows in, I run that over my eyes. For example, I've got the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Skin Perfecting Micro Powder, which is what I use on my face to set my foundation. I will just take some of that and then I will run it over the primer, and what I'm doing is I am setting that primer, making it less sticky, less tacky, nice and smooth, so that when I start to apply the eyeshadow, there won't be any snagging or pulling, but I'll still get that protection of the eyeshadow primer, making sure that my eyeshadow stays in place all day. It's almost like a primer for your primer, sort of. So now already my eyes are completely smooth and soft, and you would not know that there was even a primer there. Now I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way the Natural Nudes Complexion Inspired Eyeshadow Palette in today's video, just because I wanted to keep it quite simple and straightforward. Another thing that I tend to do now is completely up to you whether you choose to. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. This eyeshadow palette happens to have a almost bone skin kind of very, very pale light matte eyeshadow. This one here is called Swan. So what I will do is I will take any brush. This one is a Morphe M513 brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to very heavily put it in that Swan and again smooth out my eye. The recurrent theme is smooth, soft, velvety, so that when I put my eyeshadow down, the actual colours itself, they will glide across the eye because of all this prep work that I've done beforehand. Now I know it may seem like a lot of steps, but generally this doesn't take me long at all. Already, voila, we are done. That was it. If I hadn't been talking and stuff, it would have taken me 2 minutes maximum. Right, so I think the actual eyeshadow that I'm going to use in today's video is this one here called Seashell, which is like a very, very pale brown shade, almost like a pale caramel shade. So first thing that is very important is the amount that you go in with. A lot of people tend to go in very heavily and then they straight away go like that, and then they try to blend it. Already you've blobbed the color in the corner. That's a harsh line straight away. You won't be able to blend out. What you really need to do is take your brush, tap it in a couple of times lightly, and there's hardly anything on here now. And then what I will start to do is start from the corner, not dig it in, and then immediately start to blend. And I am holding my brush quite lightly, and as you can see, I'm also holding it at the ends, because that way you've got a better range of movement as well. When you hold it down here, you're more likely to also press hard, which is what you don't want to do, and you're also restricting your movement. Free movement is great when you're applying your eyeshadow. So there we go. So I'm going to slowly build up that color, and that's what you need to do. It's all about slowly building up that shade. So I'll go in again with maybe a little bit more, still tap it off, but remember there was already a little bit of residue from the previous time I put it in. And again, go backwards and forwards, windshield wiper motions, pressing very, very, very gently, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. I might go wiggle it around a little bit like this, which is fine, but I'm still keeping within the same area, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And that's what you need to do until it comes to the intensity that you want it to be. So already, again, I'm going to go in one more time, tap it off. As you can see, because this is such a pale color, but you can see that the color is slowly starting to build up. So backwards and forwards again as the color increases, but the color is still diffused and looking soft because of all the previous prep work that we've done, and also because of the way that I'm applying the eyeshadow by holding the brush at the bottom. See, already you can see how it looks here in comparison to this eye where there's nothing there. There is absolutely no harsh lines whatsoever. And what I will also do is slightly raise the brush to where the top of the eyeshadow is, and very lightly brush across that too. Unlike me, who's got a mirror down here, it's always best to look up close, and I can see literally not a single harsh line. Well done, Charlene, well done. All right, so I'm going to quickly do the other side now. So again, tapped off that brush. Remember, there was already product on here, so be careful when you're going in to do your second eye. So again, backwards and forwards, very softly, very softly. The problem is when it comes to a lot of people is impatience. There's always this hurry to get it done fast. And I understand that, but just remember, you may end up looking like a hot mess. People will be able to tell you got ready in a hurry. All right, let's go in once more. And again, build up that color. This is twice now. Remember on the other eye, I went in 3 times, but I do have to make sure to check purely because there was already some product on this brush. And I don't want one eye to look darker than the other one, which is what can happen. All right, 3rd time now, and let's go in once more. I'm slightly going a little bit up just in case there are any harsh lines there that I may not be able to see because I'm not up close with my mirror, but that will blend those out. It doesn't matter necessarily if you've got a harsh line like on the lower part of your lid, because you're generally going to cover that with shimmery eyeshadow or something similar anyway. And there we go. Now you can see this is how to blend your eyeshadow. Simple, straightforward, easy, as long as you do all of those steps. Obviously it's completely up to you how you want to do those steps. You may want to do it in a different kind of way, use different products, that's absolutely fine. But now we have almost set, like I've said, the framework for the rest of the eyeshadow. So now if I'm going to go in with a slightly deeper color, I've already got the transitional shade done, the blending is done, the hard work is done, and then you can go in with a deeper shade and then start to do more detailed kind of work. But this is how I wanted to show you guys, which is the most simplest and easiest way to blend your eyeshadows so that you have no harsh lines whatsoever. And this is the kind of standard you should expect from makeup artists as well. Just remember that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take another color. I'm going to take the color, I think Maple, which is this maple color. It's like a nice caramel brown. And I'm going to use one of the other brushes. Let's see, which one shall I use? I think I'll use the Anastasia Beverly Hills A12 brush. Now I'm going to show you how to deepen this shade, but at the same time retain that soft diffusedness so that it doesn't look awful. So I've dabbed it in twice. You can see the end of the brush has the product. Again, tap it off, because It's the first time I'm going in and I don't want to again jab it and then ruin it. Again, I will go in lower down and then do exactly the same technique as you saw me doing beforehand. Now, as you can see now, my eyes are starting to darken, but we've already got the transitional shade in, we've already got the powder on, we've already got the base done. So the majority of that kind of work has already been laid out for us. And now what I'm trying to do is transition a darker shade into a lighter shade. And that's the best way to make your eyeshadow look seamlessly blended. See, now if you look at this, now bear in mind I've only gone in once with this color. You can already see that it's slightly darker on this eye than that eye, but tell me where you can see any harsh lines. The blend between the dark and the light is so like smooth that you cannot even tell. It looks like a beautiful soft gradient, and that's what you actually do want to achieve. Now I'm going to go in with a tiny bit more, just 2 dabs again. Whack it off. There's still color on here, don't worry, that's always excess product, and the excess product is what also leads to patchy looking eyes. And then again I will go in lightly, blending it upwards slightly into the other eyeshadow. And sometimes what I will do is I will take that first brush, just go over the top slightly, because this one is definitely a lot more flat, this one is a little bit more dense, and this one is the one that fans it all out, smooths it out, and make sure in case I've missed anything. And also another thing to remember is because I'm currently working in the eye socket area, now it also depends on how defined your eye socket is. Now some people have got very deep set sockets, I don't, I've got normal sockets, if that's what you want to call them. So the best thing to do is when you apply is to look down. When you look down, you smooth out that area no matter how deep set your eyes are. Obviously your eyes will still be deep set, but it'll still be easier to apply. So you can always look down, that way your eyes have become kind of smoothed out almost, and then you can carry on blending. And then when you look up, it should look perfect. All right, let's do the second eye now. Again, twice tapped off the brush, and we'll go backwards and forwards. Windshield wiper motions. Best kind of transitional shades are always light brown shades that are a couple of shades lighter than your natural skin tone. All right, one more time, because we only went in twice with this one. See, I'm just going like this in little circular motions and moving it round and round and round until I get into the inside area. When it comes to definition as well, you obviously don't want too much in here because you can close off your eyes. So you need to focus generally on the outside, as that is what elongates your eye. So I'm just going to take that same brush again and very roughly blend around the edges to make sure that there are no harsh lines and both of those brown shades have blended into each other. Okay. So there we have it. This is how to blend out your eyeshadow. It looks great, it looks perfect, it looks seamless, it looks lovely, ready for me to then either define my eyes, which I'm not going to do today. I'm going to go for something quite simple, or go in with your lid shade, your eyeshadow on top, and then that's it. Then your makeup is done. It really is that simple. Now I know it may seem complicated, long-winded, whatever, but once you get used to it, once you've got a little bit of practice, you will do it within a couple of minutes. Right, so I'm going to finish off the rest of my eye makeup now, and then I'll be back in a minute to finish off the video. Just an FYI, I'm going to be using the color Shimmering Pearl, I think it's called Shimmering Pearl, on my lid, and that's literally it. 3 colors. Okay, so I'm back. The rest of my eye makeup is complete, and as you can see, it looks absolutely lovely. I love the way that it looks. It's very simple, quite straightforward, not that complicated. I think the only reason that it can ever look like super glam when it comes to me in particular is because I put on these massive eyelashes, which, as I always say, Huda Beauty Sacha eyelashes are my favorite, so that's what has finished off this look. Now, aside from the actual colors that I used, hopefully this video has given you guys some kind of ideas of how to blend your eyeshadow a lot more easily. It's given you some sort of guidance of how you can make it look diffused, how you can make sure that you have no harsh lines and that it looks lovely, simple and beautifully blended out, as you can see that I've done here. Even when I applied the gold on the lid, I used my finger and just tapped it on. Then I used that same Anastasia brush and I literally just went around the edges so gently, just to diffuse the shimmery shade into the matte, but without interfering with the matte and making it look absolutely awful. I haven't put any brow bone shade on, I've just forgot to be honest. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. So that's it for my video of how to apply your eyeshadow like a pro, how to blend it out like a professional. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you all soon.